You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 244, The Accidental Business Owner. If you're a business owner who wants to improve your time management and elevate your productivity so you can maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today's episode is going to be a little special because I am going to be sharing with you some exciting news, giving you an update about Productivity Straight Talk, what's going to be happening behind the scenes in my business this summer, and I want to jump into that right away. So let's get to the straight talk. Before I jump in and share with you the exciting news and some updates, I wanted to share with you how I got here because I think it's going to be valuable in just pulling back the curtains and sharing how I was thinking, what influenced this decision, how I worked with my team to execute on this idea that I'm getting ready to share with you. So last year in August, I got COVID. I got incredibly sick and I was out of my business for 2 months. And if you want to hear more about that story and how it impacted my business and decisions that I've made, you can head on over and listen to that full episode by searching for episode 211, Update How My Business Survived in My Absence. But the reason I bring that up is because my business survived for 2 months with me being out of it. And up until that point, I didn't even know that I had this belief that needed to even be challenged, in that I truly believed my business could not survive with me being out of my business for that long. And well, it didn't just survive, but it thrived. Not to spoil alert the episode if you have not gone and listened to it. But one of the things that I took out of it was this idea of wanting to purposely slow down on my terms and step away from the business because now I knew I could. And so for the longest time throughout this last year, 10 months or so, I had this idea that I was going to step away from the business and work on a very limited basis through the summer. And part of that plan was for me to go dark on Productivity Straight Talk, take sort of like a sabbatical on the podcast. And it was going to be perfect because it was going to be in alignment with some other goals that I had, which was traveling and breaking ground on a huge remodel in my home. Well, as all great plans go, they didn't go exactly as planned, and my remodel got pushed to the fall. And so I was left with this decision of, well, do I still go dark this summer? I'm not really going to be traveling as much as I thought. I didn't have the need to go dark because I'm not having to relocate my family because the remodel's not going to be until the fall. And so I thought, okay, so I'll do the podcast. And then I thought, but that would be weird. Like, can I really do like a sabbatical in the fall? Like, I think people would get it for the summer, but if I go dark in the fall, like that just, do people do that? And this is important because I'm literally letting you in on my thought process because we can pigeonhole ourselves and limit the ideas that are possible for ourselves and our businesses because we're filtering them through what other people think or what other people have done. And so that's where my head was going. And I caught myself and I was like, who cares? This whole thing started because I was determined to have a business and live a life that was by design. And so if by design, I was going to take the summer off for specific reasons and those reasons weren't needed anymore, I could choose to do something different. And so I had gotten on a meeting with Crystal. We do once a month, we do a full day meeting. So we do like 6 hours, we take a long break, like 3 hours, and then we come back and do 2 hours. And it's our monthly content meeting where we're collaborating, creating strategy, going deep on projects. And we've done this for years and years. I don't advise that strategy to everyone, but for us, it works magically. And so it's something we'll continue to do. Well, on this session, the thing that we decided to talk about and put in the middle of the conversation was, all right, so what are our goals moving forward with the podcast? And if we get really clear about that, it will make every decision easier, which I believe is a great strategy. So we were talking about, well, our goal is to increase listenership. Our secondary goal was to promote Leverage Lab, to highlight my coaching and what I can coach on and support my clients with. And as we got super clear about the purpose of us continuing and working on the podcast, Crystal goes, I have an idea and you're going to hate it. Now, Crystal and I have worked together for like 7 years. I don't remember her ever actually suggesting something with a run-on sentence of, and you're going to hate it. And I was like, let me hear it. She goes, all right. So I listened to true crime podcast, and there's this one podcast where she has multiple podcasts, and she, sends people from one podcast to the next, and they're not even alike, like in the same genre. But anyways, long story short, that gave me an idea. I think you should start a new podcast. And I was like, what? Like, as in run 2 podcasts? I was like, all right, let's talk this out. Let's think about it. And this thing rapidly morphed. And it morphed into me hearing 2 podcasts. And I was like, nope, that's not what I want to do. I said, so what is your idea for the second podcast? And she's like, well, I don't have a specific idea, but I just thought maybe that strategy could be an option for you. And I was like, okay, so let's just play this out. Like, what if I did start a new podcast? And I go, okay, well, I am not willing to commit to running 2 full-time podcasts, but what I can commit to is a limited series podcast. And then I was like, yeah. And then like, what would be the topic? And literally, I'm talking rapidly, like moments after each other. I go, hold on. And I run through my notes from a coaching sessions from the previous day I have on my desk. And I'm flipping through the papers from my coaching client notes. And I was like, I got it. And I said, it's going to be these topics. I ran these topics through. My client asked me a specific question. And he said, I have grown so much as a CEO. And I want to make sure that I continue to grow. Where do you see that I can continue to improve? I may have some blind spots. And in that coaching session, I rapidly went through all the different areas in which I believe there are skill sets, there are behaviors, there are strategies, there are areas of our business that we can improve our skill sets to. And I was like, this is it. This is the type of conversation I love to have with my coaching clients. And here's the 12 episodes. Well, we talked a little bit more. And I said, oh my gosh, I have the perfect name. I've owned this domain for years. And the reason I got this domain was because I kept being told this specific phrase. So literally within 2 hours, we went from strategizing about productivity straight talk, having a decision about what we were going to do with the podcast this summer or next fall to make sure those decisions aligned with my personal goals. And it morphed into we're going to host a second podcast. What does that look like? The topics came clear. Then the title came clear. So drum roll. I am starting a new podcast, and it is going to be a 12-week limited series this summer, and it's called Accidental Business Owner. The Accidental Business Owner is a domain that I've owned for many years, knowing that I would do some special project with it. And the reason I bought that domain is because I kept hearing over and over from clients and discovery calls and listeners that they said those words or paraphrased those words of, I didn't go to college. I don't have business experience. I just realized one day I was a business owner. I was making decisions. I was leading a team. I have this successful business, and it feels like I just accidentally got here. And so my question is that do you feel like you became an accidental business owner? And what I mean by that is perhaps you didn't actually decide as a child, or even when you decided to go to college, if you did go to college, you weren't like, oh, I want to go to college for entrepreneurship. No, the business owners that I specialize in, you all, if you did go to college, probably went in the area of expertise of your industry. So if you're an attorney, you went to school to be an attorney. If you're an accountant, a CPA, an interior designer, insert all these industries that I serve, you may have gone to school for that specific industry, but certainly not to become an entrepreneur. And many of my clients may not have ever gone to college, and that's really okay as well. But they are uniquely skilled, and they have this special talent that they are taking and bringing to the world to serve the world in the special way that only they can. And they have big goals and big dreams, and they feel like they're floundering. They feel like they're not quite sure what skill sets are missing that is making this entrepreneurial journey a struggle. And what I want most is to empower and to educate and to coach small business owners on these skill sets and strategies so that they can truly enjoy this entrepreneurial journey, that they can truly take their skills and their talents to the world and serve the world in the special way that only they can. I want them to grow their business so that they can provide jobs and opportunities for others that their company employs. And all of that is possible if you feel like you can confidently grow your business and lead your team. And quite frankly, that you enjoy the process, that you enjoy the entrepreneurial process in the sense that you look forward to going to work each day, that your business is in alignment with your personal goals. And those are topics that I can get so excited about talking about. So once I decided that I would do this podcast, I also decided that this would be purely an experiment. And this is really big. I talk about this a lot with my clients of looking at things as an experiment. When we look at them as an experiment, we're not as attached to the outcome, and it's more of curiosity. And for me, it lets me become more creative and have that creative outlet. And so I got really clear about what we are specifically experimenting with that can serve the business no matter what the answer is, right? So we're going to get information and data that helps me move forward in the business. And here are the things that we are experimenting with. We are going to find out that if we are not using the word productivity in the podcast, does it open it up to a different listener? Does it allow us to rank differently in SEO? Does it allow me to talk about topics that I talk with my clients about all the time, but don't squarely fit within Productivity Straight Talks topics? We are also going to find out if we can drive listenership to Productivity Straight Talk. We are going to experiment and find out if I can build enough rapport to build my email list in a short 12-week series, such as what we're doing. So we have all these little milestones and metrics that we're going to be looking at that whether they work or they fail miserably, it's going to give us some intel on how to improve Productivity Straight Talk, how to make sure that we are continuing to grow Productivity Straight Talk, that we're able to serve more business owners, and that the podcast in return serves the business because, quite frankly, there is a lot of time, energy, resources put into the podcast. And I said it briefly, but I think it's really important to say that I was really excited to have this creative outlet to talk about topics that I really, have something to say about, and I'm so excited to talk about. And at the end of the day, if every metric fails, right? So if it doesn't grow my email list because the opt-in isn't enticing enough, and we don't reach a completely different audience and let them know about Productivity Straight Talk, I am okay with all metrics failing except for one. And I no doubt know that this will succeed. And this one metric is the fact that I believe these conversations that I'm going to have over the next 12 weeks are really going to help business owners. And at the root of everything that I do, I center it all under this statement. I help small business owners take back their business and life. And when I think about the content, the 12-week series, the title of the podcast, it absolutely fulfills that statement. And that statement is my mission. And my mission is in alignment with this. So, the big announcement that you tuned into for today is that we will be going dark this summer on Productivity Straight Talk. I will be starting a new podcast, Accidental Business Owner. It's a limited 12-week episode only, and Productivity Straight Talk will be back in the fall starting in September. So, if no one has taught you the skill sets of being a business owner, then the Accidental Business Owner podcast is for you. In this new summer-only podcast, I will discuss effective business strategies to increase profits, lead your team confidently, and enjoy the entrepreneurial journey. We'll be diving into topics like mindset, operational efficiency, financials, decision-making, leadership, strategic planning, and work-life balance. And you better believe I'll be giving you the straight talk on what it takes to become the business owner you were meant to be, no matter how you got here. Here's a little snippet of what we'll be talking about in the first episode: mindset transformation for small business owners. You've probably heard of people operating from a negative mindset or a positive mindset. Maybe you've even heard the term fixed mindset and growth mindset. The truth is, we don't operate from one or the other all the time. We can shift from one to the other from day to day, hour by hour, or have a negative fixed mindset in one area of our life and a positive growth mindset in another. My goal is to help you really lean into your positive growth mindset so you can operate more consistently from a place of positivity, confidence, and willingness to learn. So starting today, you can go check out the welcome episode. And next week on June 13th, the first episode will drop, and one will drop every single week for the next 12 weeks. So head on over anywhere you're listening to this podcast episode, search Accidental Business Owner, or you can head over to accidentalbusinessowner.com and click subscribe to make sure you do not miss an episode of this special summer series. Hey, now you may have thought you'd be getting out of this episode without a lesson. Well, you'd be wrong. While this was an update and some behind the scenes of how we got here with this update, I want to pull out some lessons for you or some ahas that I think you can take away from today's episode. And the first one is why I'm willing to try this. Right? So I'm willing to try something new to potentially get a different result. So this is an experiment to see if I can learn some things that I can take back to my constant marketing strategy, which is Productivity Straight Talk. The other lesson, I'm willing to take on something new, but I had to give something else up. And so while we can get so excited about the new project, the new opportunity, that is wonderful. But the hard decision I needed to make was that I needed to press pause on Productivity Straight Talk to really shift my energy, my time, my attention to this new project, give it the energy and time it deserves, while also maintaining my personal goals, which is working 3 days a week through the summer. And that is all because I filtered all the strategy through what I consider are my vision of success, both personally and in my business. And another way of saying that, like, what are my personal and business goals and how can they work together? And I think that's really, really powerful because even if I had been like, yes, I'm going to start this new podcast, I'm going to keep Productivity Straight Talk going because that's what people expect, and I will just bite the bullet and grin through and give up my 3-day work week through the summer, I would not have enjoyed the journey. I don't care what data I got. I don't care how it would have affected listenership or revenue. That wasn't an exchange that I was willing to make. So what I asked was, how can it be both? How can I continue the goal of working 3 days a week and start something new? I also checked it through all of those goals, right? So my business goals and my personal goals. And I wanted to make sure it wasn't a distraction because I was so excited. Like when she said it, from time of just mentioning it to like fully named outline topics, moving through into branding, it was like 2 hours. And that was a rapid movement in such a big decision in my business. And the only reason I could do that is because I always am exercising the muscle of filtering it through what my goals are and what my vision of success is, so that I can answer the question of, is this thing that I'm saying yes to going to propel me towards my goals or be a distraction and take me off course of reaching my goals? All right, so those were just some of the lessons that I wanted to pull back and really explicitly point out to you on what I used in my business to get me to this decision. So if I have not been explicitly clear, we are hitting pause on the podcast, Productivity Straight Talk, the one you're listening to today, for 12 weeks. We will be back September 5th. In the meantime, what I want you to do right now is go search Accidental Business Owner on whatever podcast player you're listening to this one on and subscribe, and you will get an episode every Monday like you do Productivity Straight Talk, but it's going to be under this new name and umbrella with the topics I shared earlier today of what you can expect. So no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on these lessons that I shared with you about how I think and how I make decisions, and spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about more of that over at the Accidental Business Owner, is how to make decisive decisions, how to be strategic in your business so that it both aligns with your business goals and your personal goals. That's all the things we're going to be talking about over there at that podcast. Make sure that you take these lessons and start applying them, because you're going to get an opportunity, if not today or this week, this month. And it will be an opportunity that will either be the thing that brings you more joy and propels you towards achieving your goals, or if not careful and asking the right questions, it could be the thing that makes you not like being a business owner or not enjoying the entrepreneurial journey. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.